guess before I even talk about the good news, it's obvious that everybody's gone through this thing in California, and I've reached out to some of my friends over there, and I just think I want everybody to know from my team, our program, that our thoughts and prayers are with everybody over there. It's been devastating. I try to watch the news on it, which I don't watch much, and I can't believe what I see, and that takes nothing away. I mean, people are still recovering in North Carolina. People, went through a lot in New Orleans. This has been maybe as devastating a thing as I've seen. And so, when you're moving football games and you're going through all the things, we've got, I talked to Mick Cronin out there when he was there before he left, and of course my buddy Mariucci. And so I think we all should at least take a second to appreciate where we live. As crazy as it sounds, they talk about the snow, but we have a lot of lives lost, and so our prayers are with all those people. As far as our team goes, an incredible first half start. I was very concerned. We had some problems, the quick turnaround, all that, and I give my staff and players the most credit because before that game, I knew we were ready to play, and I don't say that all the time. There was just a buzz in the locker room. I could tell that they were ready to play, and now the trick is, can you keep them that way the number of games you got to play? And the average person would say it was easy. I say it should be easy because when you play, like, what do we got left? 15 conference games. They're going to practice hundreds of hours. They've already practiced 1,000 hours, and they only get to play 15 times. That sounds like simple work, but it's not, So now you come home, school starts. That's a positive in a way because now we get back in a routine. People I think are excited, and so now how we handle these things are going to be important. It was a good road win. We have not fared very well against Northwestern as of late. I thought we played well on both ends of the ball. Offense and our defense was very good in that first half. We had, I think our guard play is getting better and better. Trey struggled a little bit because he was in foul trouble and had a few turnovers. But, I thought, Jeremy did a lot of good things. Jace did a lot of good things. Our centers were by committee again, and we got to work on some things there. But now it's on to Penn State, who had a 7-point lead last night without their star point guard, and lose at down the stretch to what some people think is one of the best teams in our league in Oregon. I've looked at a lot of film on them late last night and this morning, and tough, hard-nosed team. Mike does a great job with them. They different system again, different style. They're pressing all over the court. They're athletic. They come with a million different lineups. They can go big. They can go small. It doesn't seem to bother him any. They have 8, 9 guys they're playing 12 minutes or more, and 6 of them are in double figures. But it's one of those programs where they're running people in and out, and everybody plays different positions. So there's some confusion there. Baldwin and Kern are their leading scorers. The kid Dillion, who we played against last year, was at Tennessee, is a very good player. But the Kern kid is the guy that's maybe improved the most. We all know about Baldwin. And so they're going to create some problems for us, and we have to make sure we match up and realize what's gotten us here. What's gotten us here is very attention to detail with our scouting and players starting to learn how to take that to the game. Which got us here is unselfish play. Our strength in numbers. What's gotten us here has been players helping players. So the beat goes on, and we're going to try to big week here at home, and excited to play in front of our home students again, and see where it takes us. So questions I got.
Timeout. I don't know if this is working. After the game yesterday, Chris is saying that he can tell when you really like your team and gets a sense that this is a team that is your classic kind of rebound, run, defend, depth. I guess how much does that continue to build as the season goes on and it's January, but just to keep that kind of the trademarks rolling?
Yeah, the culture part. Yeah, I think Chris is right on the money. How important is it? Well, you saw it the first half. You didn't see it the second half. So we're not there yet, but we are making some progress. And I think the players, I thought Jace Richardson, I think I told some of you after in the press conference, I heard him as we were walking in, and he said, remember, this is Northwestern. They're not going to quit. They're going to come back. And very astute for a young guy to say that. It hadn't played against them before, but I think that speaks volumes of the culture that Chris has developed there. And sure enough, they did. I mean, we had control. We're 17-18 up with 4 minutes left, but we didn't play as well the second half. They played better. We went we had 5 straight possessions. We turned the ball over. I mean, that's poor job on my part. There's got to be a timeout in there, and there might have been one, but there should have been 2 or 3. You just can't do that, And if the score was anything but what it was, that could put you in trouble, especially on the road. So I got to do a better job. We got to do a better job of that. But I think the culture part you're talking, do I like this team? I do like them until practice today. Then I might not like them again, I say that jokingly. I say that seriously. We have a lot of work to do yet to get maybe more and more consistent. The turnovers was a factor. We have 3 turnovers against a team that's, I think, leading the league. They were causing 15 turnovers a game. We had 3 at halftime, feeling good about it. We get 8 the second half, only for 11, but 5 in a row. Those are the kind of things that I'm trying to balance out and make sure that we don't let the outside, distractions and dirt balls get us. To be very honest with you, that's still a concern of mine every day. And I think it's a concern of a lot of coaches. So, right now I like my team. We've won 9 in a row, I'll really find out about your team when you don't have success, as we've learned at Ohio State and other places. That's just the way it is. And when everybody's good, everything's good. So we'll try to keep it good as long as we can keep it. But we know there's going to be some ups and downs. I talked to you about the schedule, front-loaded, back-loaded. The great part that I think I do feel really good about and prideful in my players about is we've won 3 road games. And that's not easy to win on the road. I don't care where you go. And I do feel that's a step in the right direction to continuing this.
Tom, I'm wondering, when we talk about a lot of those culture elements, it seems like Jeremy Fears embodies a lot of those. And I'm curious, when in, maybe it was the recruiting process, maybe it was when he got on campus, was there a moment where it stood out to you that, man, this is a guy that really lives and breathes that sort of identity that you want your team to take on?
I mean, I don't even think Jeremy's where he could be or will be. In other words, the injury set him back a lot. It set him back to the 7 months, but it set him back confidence, and it set him back. He was a little more vocal back then. He's regaining that, but he's always had some leadership. I thought late in the game, and I talked to him about it after, we still got to keep the ball moving. I thought it got monopolized a little bit, and we're all trying to figure out how to do things. Even with Trey, I mean, those 3 guys have played well together too, and 4 guys with Jaden. But, moving the ball is going to be important. Jace actually does the best job at that ball always moving, But Jeremy, what he's doing is he's locking up on one end too, Once in a while, loses vision and we get backdoor to that, but I think he likes taking a challenge. Trey wants to take a challenge. Jace, last couple games, I mean, there's been a couple kids that he played against AU. I mean, I just love the way they want to take up a challenge. But Jeremy right now is doing a good job of that. We're going to get him continue to distribute that thing. He had 8 assists, 1 turnover, and he should be a guy that gets double-digit assists if we keep it moving.
Tom, so halfway through Jace's freshman year, you throw in the preseason. This is now probably longer than any season he's ever been a part of. So I'm wondering about the idea of a freshman wall.
Yeah.
Is that something you can mitigate ahead of time? Do you just let him hit it and see if it even happens? And on the other hand, I know you still want him to do more. So how do you sit with that idea right now?
That's a very good question, because I did talk about that to myself early this morning, not sleeping, and I said, because he is playing better and better and better, and you worry about the wall. The one strange thing about Jace, strange is a bad word, but the one unique thing about Jace, if you remember the Kansas game, third game of the year, the bright lights, everything, it just didn't faze him. Big games don't seem to faze him in Maui. He's been kind of built and developed for the bright lights, and I don't know if he'll hit the wall. 90% of the freshmen do, just for the reason you said. The season gets longer, this and that. I think if he does, I'll be able to help talk him through it, because he just has an incredible demeanor about him, where he's way more mature than his age, both chronologically and experience-wise. He gets it. He's he's confident without being cocky. He's those kind of things, and so I'm hoping the wall doesn't hit, because I think the best is yet to come, and but I'm sure I'll talk to him about it some, just because it happens to so many kids. I haven't had one as mature as him at the age he's at, but season gets long for everybody, and now, there's a lot of things that are happening to all these guys, as we know, and but I'm not worried about it. I'm not as worried about it as I would be with some.
I'm going to ask you about Jackson had 5 assists, I think, in this last game, and the interior to interior passing, something that, since I've been covering you really haven't had like this. And how, at one point, talking to Zapala, he said that you guys have tried to incorporate that more. When did you know you had that as an option, and how much more have you tried to incorporate that in the offense?
Well, we have tried to incorporate it. Jackson's showing we're mad at ourselves on a little bit of Jackson. We don't think he's gotten the ball enough. And early in his career, he got the ball and it was the black hole. It never came out, And now it's almost too much the other way. We got to find the happy medium. But he has developed he threw an unbelievable backdoor pass to Jace in the last game. He's really, and those two have built a relationship, him and Zapala, and he's done a better job with Book and with Coop too. I mean, it's gotten to be that those bigs are starting, it's by committee still, but Jackson, he's been a great rebounder, not rebounding as good on the offensive end, because as I told him last night, I took him into my office when we got back and I said, see this scouting report, you were just kind of down here. You've moved up in that because you can do more things. And the rebounding was one. I mean, he was killing people early. And now you see film and they're putting more than one guy on him sometimes. So he's adjusting, but I do think those bigs are having a feel for one another. And it's been good for us. I think it's been good for them. And they get a kick out of, his behind the back pass. It's funny because Doug told Shimon that, he screwed that up. It was a little bit low, but he could have saved the day, and it would have been one of those great, great, great plays, So it's been fun to watch those guys grow, too, and I think they are growing, and I think that is a useful part of our offense now.
Speaking of sleep, I know you always say it's overrated, but does the way this team approaches their business, responds from whatever adversity we might not even see, the way they come to play, does it allow you to sleep better, or does that not in the equation for a coach?
That's a good question.
One in a row.
No, I don't sleep better, and the reason I don't sleep better is, when you're not a real good team, you don't sleep good because you're not a real good team. When you're a pretty good team, believe it or not, you sleep okay because you know you're going to win some, lose some. When you get to this point and you're in the thick of things for a race, now you realize you can't stub your toe on things, and so there's more reasons not to sleep. So sleep's still overrated, but I think the critical part is what you said. The players have adjusted and adapted to some things, and you know, whether, you know, we're going to hit some quick turnarounds. I mean, if you look at, you know, what Mick went through out at UCLA there, and then he went to Maryland, and it was a 6-hour flight, and, you know, we're going to hit some other things. We had plane issues going there. We had a bunch of them coming back last night, which, when 2-day prep, it hurts your time of preparation, but the team has adjusted, and there'll be longer trips, and there'll be different time. You know, playing at 11 was one, but it's early yet. You know, we have 15 games left, so keeping that kind of mentality with them. And I think that's the plus of playing strength in numbers. You know, that's the plus of it is, you know, people don't get overtired. People are learning how to play harder in the minutes they're in there. And if an injury comes or a sickness comes because of travel or this and that, I think we're going to be at least a little more able to take that on.
Just a quick update on Nick Sanders. Saw he was in a walking boot and was out yesterday.
He had what they call a stress reaction, you know, where it's not a stress fracture because it's not broken through it. Let me think of my medical background from Northern Michigan University. A little cloudy in the, so that means that it's ticked off. You know, the bone is ticked off at you, and so if you shut them down for a week or two, you know, I think Denzel had that once. You know, it'll hopefully cure itself without surgery or anything like that. So we're looking at Nick a week and a half, 2 weeks out, and you know, it's been cool because all the players even said that Nick is an integral part of our team now. He runs that scout team. It's been amazing looking at the transformation from last year to this year, and so all the players were upset because he's been a big part of that, but he's still with us.
That's good. The other thing, Jaden, he gets to 1,000 points. He told us he didn't want to know he was close, and I'm wondering how much maybe in his captain role and just who he is rubbing off on this whole group.
Yeah. You know, Jaden is the most unique guy probably on my team because he's been through a lot, you know, and at times, you know, questioned, you know, his value and whether we're using him right and all this and that, because every guy goes through that, you know. And if you look at it, he played 15 minutes as a freshman and 20 minutes as a sophomore, and you look at his career stuff, and it was kind of funny because the coaches on the bench knew it. I was sort of aware of it. I don't know how many players will, but when we got in the locker room, I heard him say, "This is the most fun I've ever had." And then everybody brought up the 1,000 point, you know, and I think he was excited about it, and he should be excited about it. I mean, it puts you in a rare group. Guys that score 1,000 points in their career at a university, especially at the same university. And I was really happy for Jaden. I mean, he's been consistent now. He's getting more consistent, and that too will help us. And I think where he rubs off on guys is there's not a lot of drama to Jaden. You know, he is what he is, and I think other players appreciate that.
Coach Frankie seemed to have more confidence yesterday. Is that kind of the key for him, or has he been in college basketball long enough where that doesn't really need to be a factor?
Oh, no, I think this day and age, you know, and it's kind of funny you say that because one decent day and we figure everything's right, and that's not insulting to you. It's the way our society is. But I think everybody's got to feel good about themselves, you know, and I think people think you can do it by coach giving them confidence. You know, confidence comes when you have success. You know, if I tell you can pass the test and you flunk it, it doesn't help you that I say you can pass it. You know, you got to do things yourself sometimes. And he's worked his way through. After the last game, I went up, came to the press conference, did my radio, and then I went upstairs and he was in the gym shooting. You know, he is a guy that works at it. It's been a little bit of a struggle lately, and I think some good plays like that help bring you out of it. I think he was a little more aggressive on some things, and again, you know, people were happy for him, players were happy for him, and when he made that three, the whole bench erupted, and it sounds crazy, but I think that too shows you there's nobody on this team that doesn't get along with everybody. And I'm sure there's closer friends than others, but everybody was pulling for him, and hopefully that starts a little more confidence in his game.
Tom, when you mentioned Jaden having fun early in the season, it seemed like he was kind of stressed out, and you had met with him about that. And fun is a whole different echelon from that. And I'm curious, have you seen him maybe now start to embrace that role, being that number one guy, that leader? Like, is it finally he's broken through that?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think when you start out the year, your senior year, I was talking to Chris about a couple of his guys, and there's a lot of pressure on these kids for a lot of reasons. Some are we put on them, some you put on them, some they put on them. But as we all know, when you're at the end of whatever you're doing, you know, there's pressure on you. At the end of high school, you know, what am I going to do? End of college, what am I going to do? As a player that hopes to play basketball beyond here, you know, you sometimes put that own pressure on yourself. And I think now he's just playing, and let his play take care of it, not worry about every single thing of every day. And you know, we did talk about it, and I think he's done a good job. You know, one thing he's done a better job of, he's been better defensively. So I think it takes his mind off, and he just seems free flowing on the other stuff. So at least for right now, 5 games in to the Big Ten season, he's been pretty consistent in how he's played, and I'm happy for him. And getting 1,000 points, I don't want to minimize it, because it is, at the same school, it is a pretty neat accomplishment.
Yeah, Tom, Jace took a 3 yesterday in the second half. It was a good shot. It seemed like frustration when he missed it. He went in, he got a quick foul. You grabbed him. What was that discussion like, as we think that he's never going to make a mental mistake?
Yeah, you know, I just love the way he is aggressive. He's very intelligent, and so he doesn't make many. And I just said, number one, why were you down about the missed 3? You know, Michael, the main guy, missed a couple. LeBron misses a couple, and then I just said, you know, we talked about the fouling, and I don't even have to say nothing to him, and he knows. That's what makes him a unique freshman. He knows if he missed a pass, and he doesn't miss many. I mean, he moves the ball as well as any player I've had in a lot of years. So it was a kind of a laughing moment. Like, he knew before I even said anything to him, and I wanted to make sure he doesn't get down on himself for missing a shot, because I guess that's what perfectionists do, you know. And we have some guys that get down about a missed shot, and they shouldn't. But then we have some guys that never get down about a missed shot, and they should. So it's a combination of both. But he is on the spectrum that he knows what he's doing, and he knows when he's done something well. In fact, a couple times in practice day before, he made some unbelievable plays. And I said, "You're not going to get excited about it?" And he says, "Well, Coach, that's what I do." I said, "Well, then get excited for me and the other players, because I was excited about it." And he laughed. And, you know, it's just part of us learning him learning us, and him growing. But he's pretty sharp on when he knows when if he makes a few mistakes, which there aren't many, he knows what he does.
One more thing, Tom. What's your best game this year? Not in terms of the quad and the net, but the way you want to play.
Wow. I mean, the first half of this game was pretty good, but, you know, they did a good job or we did a poor job of, we didn't fast break very good, and I want to do that better. Best game, you know, the Nebraska game here, because I thought it was against a quality team that was tough. What I liked about the first half there, we took care of the ball, you know, things that are negatives for us at times. The Carolina game, you know, we played pretty well. I don't know. I know some of the worst games, you know. We didn't play very well at all against Kansas, I thought. Disappointed in that. But I don't know. That's too deep of a question for me to answer just walking after not much sleep and working on Penn State. I'll think about that and give you a better answer later.
Tom, I'm wondering how much of what this team is and has become to you can be attributed to like a sense that there's always a lot of internal competition when you have this depth and these numbers. There's sort of always a guy behind you. There's guys that probably want to do more. You know, even going back to that first press conference, you talked about not a lot of separation, a lot of guys fighting for what they're going to be. And now that we're at this stage, is that internal competition? You're not necessarily antagonistic or anything, but just sort of a healthy internal push-pull. Is that created
That's the
what
problem,
this is?
as I've talked to a lot of coaches over the years, from Mike at Duke to John Calipari at Kentucky, you know, that have had maybe more superstars and this and that. Competition is always good, but it is not always smooth. I think, you know, we've tried to do a good job as a staff and doing a lot of things together. I think the players have done an unbelievable job of I mean, there's times when things go a little haywire, but I'll tell you, in general, I never seen more guys pulling for one another. Now, you win 9 in a row, easy to do that. So that's why I'm not cautiously optimistic. I'm confidently optimistic in what we can do moving forward, but I also, you know that we have to make sure we keep doing what we're doing. Don't deviate from that, because there are going to be some tough times, you know. I mean, we can laugh, we can cry. Everybody likes somebody different. I got Michigan guys in here, I got Michigan State guys in here, I got nobody's in here, meaning you're not from either school. Hell, we got a guy from Central Michigan and Northern Michigan in here. But when you look and see what Ohio State has done, probably being at the lowest point you could be at and rallying, and then you watch, like I tell my guys, when you get the championship events, meaning the NCAA tournament, now the football weekend tournament, the NFL, you know, they have a lot of the life lesson stuff, you know, and that's the one thing I love you guys do, by the way. That's the media that does it. So it's taken me a long time, but I found one thing you guys really do well, and you guys really do it well, the human interest stories. And just watching the end of that game and seeing that, I think you realize that, you know, you're not made on what you do during the year, you're made on what you do when things aren't good. And, you know, everybody says it, but not everybody lives it, and most people that live it don't turn it around. So I say to my guys, watch it, because it's a good lesson for us, you know, and I believe in that. That's why I love other sports, you know, and love to see how people handle other things. And so right now, you know, we're doing a good job, because what got us here has been something that I said has been a little different, a little special. What will keep us here is whether that keeps growing as we keep growing. And that's not as easy to do as you think, because there's so many people telling so many people different things, you know, should be scoring more, should be doing this more, should be doing that more, should have more touchdowns, should have more passes. You know, it's just different. It's a different world. And so I do spend a lot of time each day trying to keep us focused on what our mission is, what our task is, and what their mission is. So that, I think I've adjusted in my coaching career, that I do care about each and every one of their personal goals. I think it's very important to have them. And I think if they reach them, we're probably going to have a better team if I can manage that. And that's what we've done so far, halfway through the year. You heard me now, halfway through the year. If I could snap my fingers and the year ended today and we're moving on into the tournament, I'd do it. You know, that'd be great. But there is another half a year to go, and I'm cognizant of that. And hopefully we'll continue to do what we're doing.
Anything else, guys?
Yep.
I just wanted to, I know you said you got back and did a little bit of Penn State prep, and I'm wondering what you saw with that Oregon game yesterday, and in particular with them not having Baldwin and still being competitive like that.
Well, that was the problem. You know, they lost Baldwin, I think, 12 minutes in or 15 minutes into the Illinois game, and that thing got away from them then. And then yesterday, I mean, they were down, but then they went 7 up. And I think that speaks volumes. You know, I think Mike is one of the better coaches in this league. He plays 8, 9 guys, and most of those guys have been there, some of them 5 years. And so he's got a veteran group that has been together a long time. And the Kern kid is a perfect example. Baldwin, you know, those kids have gotten better. And so I'm concerned with a couple of things. Number one, the multiple positions each guy can play. Number two, of course, the pressing, and that is different than maybe you're used to. But number three is what you're saying. You know, number one, rumor is he'll play, but who knows? And number two, you know, you got some film now, the last 2 games. You always like to see what did they do lately, and they're a completely kind of different team without him. The pressure he puts on you defensively, there's a reason he was a defensive player of the year, is different. And then trying to simulate that to your players is even more different. So yeah, it's concerning, but you know, this is the time of year you're starting to see some injuries, and guys have, you know, this is happening. Illinois has had a major setback for a couple of games. I think he'll be back this week. I don't know that, but and then of course Baldwin. You're talking 2 of the better guards in our league have been out for each team, and we have to prepare for both. And but it is what it is. That's the way it's going to be. Anything else? Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Players have to practice.